My name is Alex. My pen name is Bubby, but I just go by Alexander Drews mostly. But I like Bubby too. I think it's fun. So I just wrote this book, and it's up on Amazon right now. And it's a pretty easy read, but there's a lot of things that I feel like could benefit from an explanation. Not that it takes away from the reading experience if you don't get it initially, but I just feel like it could be enriching to hear it from the writer's perspective, and it might be fun. So if you're into that sort of thing, what I'd recommend you do is get yourself a copy of the book. The book is called Glub The Bug, Glub the Bug. So copy yourself a copy. The Kindle one is pretty cheap. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to assemble 2 or 3 cool people with different perspectives, and we'll kind of have a nice little circle time book group and just talk about the chapters as we go. I'm bouncing some ideas around. Maybe we'll read the chapter together and then sort of like a story time thing, or we could just do commentary on it. What I want to go over today, though, is doesn't have anything to do with the story. It's more stuff to do about, things I wrote in the author's note, stuff like that. So I just want to go through that quickly, because I feel like some of the things I don't explain amazingly. And I have had a few questions already, so let's just knock this out. So up front we have the title page. Nothing really important, just says the title of the book and my name. Then we have the copyright page. And I want you guys to know that I'll be pretty loose with this, because I really want people to do critical reviews and commentary about my book. So one of the light bulbs in here just died. I guess we're doing this in the dark. That's crazy. Anyways, yeah, I really just want this to be something that everyone can get in on and have fun with. I'm not in this for the money, I'm in it for the love of the game. For money, yeah, I'm not going to be making much. This is just where my heart and soul is. This is what I love. This is my gift, and I think I just got to use this. So up first, after the copyright page, is sort of the author's bio that we did. So I had my manager and best friend give his thoughts, which we can read out, but it's really stupid. He says, "He is a kind young man. He is like a bug, always popular, but for no reason. I like this guy. Why are we doing this again?" So I just told him to, describe me, and that's exactly what he said. He said it very slowly, though, so it was pretty stupid. But I put it in there because I thought it would be funny. There's also a nice little picture of me. Then we have the author's bio. So I did it in the third person because that's what I've seen bios done before. I don't think I say anything controversial here. It says Bubby is a writer, poet, playwright, blacksmith, songwriter. Not yet, but, we're working on our making a band. Man of God, God-fearing man. He plans to write, create, and spread meaningful work until he dies. He loves nothing more than a well-written story, and artistic integrity is everything to him. Okay, so maybe there's some stuff to talk about there. Up front, I would like you guys to know that I am a Christian. Or at least pretty dang close to a Christian. We'll get into that later, but I have a hard time saying I'm a Christian, like 100%, because of what all that entails and what that means, and mostly just because of how divided Christianity has become amongst itself. Saying you're a Christian could mean 1,000 different things, There's so many different churches and beliefs and variants, but, I guess blanket term, I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus died for my sins. I believe in Jesus Christ and God, and, I try to follow what he says in the New Testament and learn from what was said and done in the Old Testament. I try to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, and I really appreciate the beautiful moral lessons that he gave on his Sermon on the Mount. Really, this doesn't interfere a lot with my work, other than I use biblical figures and I use a lot of biblical allusions because it's what I know, and you write about what you know. So yeah, that's that. And I do plan to write, create, and spread meaningful work until I die, because that's what I'm good at and that's what I love. And artistic integrity is everything to me. I really don't like liars, and I really don't like people that lie about their beliefs and what they want to write. this book is what I wanted to write. This book is what I felt in the moment. I don't pull any punches, and I'm not dishonest about the emotions that I'm feeling, and the meaning that I wanted to talk about. And I do that in some unconventional ways, and maybe even some controversial ways, but I will never violate my artistic integrity. I don't think that's what I would want. That's not what God would want. This is a truthful work. Truthful. And take that gently, because this is a fiction book, you know? I don't believe these things that happen in my book to be things that have or ever will happen. It's just, what I'm saying is, think of it like an allegory for what I care about. I guess that helps. All right, so I believe that's the intro to the book. I have my dedications to the real God. The real is in quotation marks because I use a character who believes he is God in the book. And I lowercase his name because, of course, he isn't God. I also dedicate this to the attendees of the Tiki birthday party. That's just what Tiki birthday party is, what we've always called my birthday party. I think it started because I wear Hawaiian shirts and I like pineapple drinks. I don't know, man. But it means a lot to me. That's where so many of my core memories have been formed at those Tiki birthday parties. In fact, I had one a couple days ago. I also dedicate this to the people mentioned at the end of the book. And that's close friends and family. And readers. Then I have some quotes. It's gonna, I think they're called epigraphs? Epitaphs? I don't know, man. So my first quote, "It's gonna be alright." And that's said by Maxton Waller in the Dungeons and Daddies Season 1 theme. That podcast, the Dungeons and Daddies podcast, Season 1 might be my favorite piece of media ever. Close. It's really close to some of the other things, but it's like peak fiction, peak storytelling. It's just beautiful. Season 2, really funny, really stupid. Season 3 is really interesting so far. I'm really having fun with it. I love the crew that does Dungeons and Daddies, the whole group. They're a lot of fun. They really care about it. You can tell they put their hearts into it, and I believe they are artists with artistic integrity. I feel like sometimes they do things that the audience won't love, but it's because that's what they had to do. That's what the story needed. And I appreciate them. I appreciate their work. And it's going to be all right. Really simple quote. But I just wanted to start my writing with something that is going to hold you up, you know? This book deals with a lot of heavy themes. There's a lot of hard things that happen, but throughout it all, it's going to be all right. The next quote I have is, "If we're nothing, then why are we still here?" So that is said by the voice of the stubborn in Slay the Princess. That is my favorite video game of all time, Slay the Princess. Beautifully written, beautiful soundtrack, amazing voice acting. I could give it endless praise. And I love this quote. "If we're nothing, then why are we still here?" Because, you know, what the heck, dude? Nihilists are stupid. We can get into that later. I hate nihilism. That's what this book is all about. It's about how much I hate nihilism and absurdism. And if you're a nihilist or absurdist, read my book and maybe you'll change your mind, or maybe you'll just think I'm stupid and we can have a conversation if you want. Slay the Princess, love the game. Voice of the Stubborn was one of my favorite voices. He's like a disconnected voice in your head. You know, they're all trying to give you advice to get you out of a life and death situation. Amazing game. If you haven't played it, I seriously recommend it, or at least watch someone play it. The writing is just, it's poetry. And then my third quote, "That doesn't matter. Dwelling is useless. What matters is what we do in this moment. The choices you make now are just as important as the ones you made back then. I think we can start whenever. Just say the word." That is said by Charles in The Ghost of Little Rock, the play. Charles is by far one of my favorite characters I've ever written. He has so much emotional weight in every line. He's a beautiful character. That play meant the world to me. This is a play I wrote and we performed my senior year of high school. So that holds so much importance to me, so much depth to me. And I just think this 1, 2, 3 lineup of these quotes is great. You know, we have "It's Gonna Be All Right." Really a theme for my book. "If we're nothing, then why are we still here?" And then the third quote, which I won't read it all again because it's long, but I like how it ends with, "I think we can start whenever, just say the word." Because, you know, it's on you to turn the page. Then we have the author's note, and I'll read that to you guys. "There's a few things to note before we get into it. Unless you don't care, you're fine to go on ahead. Because, this isn't important. Just get to the story. But I do want to clarify some things, like what I'm doing now. I want you guys to know the kind of person I am, the kind of writer I am, what matters to me. So we'll go on with this author's note. I started writing this book about 5 years ago. I was younger and not the writer I am now, so this book has been through many iterations. What remains core has been fleshed out and expanded upon, and although I think this story could span thousands of pages, I made it short and sweet and bang after bang just for you. I don't think it's rushed, but you can be the judge of that. It's not rushed. I just reread the whole thing. It's freaking beautiful. Note too that this is a work of fiction. Of course, you'll know that already, but just keep it in mind. The mechanics of this world do not reflect all of my beliefs. In parentheses, only some. You'll have to find out which. You can find me if you need more explanation on that. So, as I said, this is more an allegory for my beliefs. This doesn't hold my actual beliefs. Oh yeah, and finally, this is part of a big series that I have planned. Someone in my house just screamed, but I think they're laughing now. Part of a big series I have planned. The book stands alone, but there will be more later that can add context. After the others are written, they will all meet in a 2-part finale. So let's keep this short and sweet too. Good luck out there and enjoy. Enough said. And then the book begins. Before we get into the actual book, I would love to have some people, friends, maybe, there's 2 other things that I want to talk about though. Not the epilogue. That's a spoiler. So first, I want to read you guys the back of my... Actually, no, we'll do that in our episode with people. Okay, so then we'll just... At the end of the book, we have Bring It In, Everyone. So this is where I've gotten some questions already. And I've kind of went over this, but I do want to go into more depth. So it's headed... I won't tell you that. But what I've had questions about is at the end when I'm thanking people, the first person I thank, or being I thank, is my God. And I truly believe that the reason I'm a good writer is because God has given me the gift to write. And I feel undeserving in a way because I've used it to write something that's helped me. But this story doesn't really help God, other than my prayer for this book is that it sparks conversation and it gets people searching and looking past nihilism and absurdism. I want this book to reignite people to the search for meaning. So I dedicate this to God. And I thank God for this. I've tried to understand God in my life. This is written on the end of my book. But I really can't. Even still, he understands me, and although I don't know his inner workings, I do get him. A lot of this book may not seem very Christian, and that's because I'm not a Christian in the traditional way. I'd like to correct this. I think I worded that wrong. I think I am a Christian in the traditional way. I just don't think I'm a Christian in the modern interpretation. The traditional way, I think I more align with the traditional. I feel like we have become the Pharisees. You know what I mean? I feel like we're not what we think we are, and we're not what we're supposed to be. I think we become the Pharisees, The modern church has twisted God no matter how you slice it. Everyone's trying to, this is me speaking, not from my book, everyone's trying to use God to be something that he's not and to align with their beliefs. It's so hard to read the Bible and understand it because it was written in multiple languages, but primarily, the Old Testament, especially Hebrew. And Hebrew is such a hard language to understand if the only language you have a grasp on is English. That's why translations are so iffy and why people argue so much. One of the things I'm working on doing currently is I want to learn some Hebrew. I have an interlinear Bible, and I want to try to understand and dissect really the meaning of Scripture. But that's just a side project I'm doing. I think the modern church has twisted God into what they want him to be. And we're so divided and fractioned. I don't think that's what Jesus would have wanted. So I say, I am a follower of Jesus, and I trust him in what he said. To the very end, I trust him. That is true. The way Jesus walked in his life is how I want to walk in my life. He turned the other cheek. He was peaceful and powerful and loving, passionate, everything he did was just what I strive to be. And I'll never be like him because I'm very flawed and he was not. That's why I'm a Christian, because of Jesus' life. So, let's lift a glass to God then. Thanks, God. Thanks for my gift of writing. I love you. And I can see how that would have been controversial without that context. I really hope that cleared things up for you. And thank you all very much for being part of this. Hopefully my next episodes will be more enjoyable, but I really hope I could shed some light on things. And I'm going to get back to writing the current book I'm writing. There is some wild animal crashing about in the bushes out there. Huh. Well, yeah, I think that's it. And I'll probably try to have the next video out within the next few weeks. I just wanted to get this out there because people have started reading my book. And I'm sure there's going to be questions, and I'd love to just be able to redirect them to this video. Yeah, thank you all so much, and have beautiful nights, days, or whatever time it is, or however you're feeling.